Mr. Alhantouli, thank you for having Birne and Kallxo.com in an interview here.
Thank you.
We are in the fourth week of the war in Gaza. We realize there's been a lot of deaths of children and adults. But if I can just take you back to the attack of Hamas in Israel on 7th of October. Many people were kidnapped on that day. People were killed. I want to know, do you take a stand against Hamas? What is your position on that? Before we talk about the Palestinian deaths, what is your stand on the Hamas attack on Israel on 7th of October?
You know, this is a wrong starting. Do you know how many Palestinians were killed from 1st of January to the 6th of October?
You tell me.
More than 300 Palestinian civilians were killed, mostly in the West Bank. Do you know how long the Israeli military occupation of Palestine is being endured?
Decades.
75 years. Since 1948, when Israel was invented on Palestinian land. Do you know how many United Nations resolutions condemning Israeli occupation we have? More than 1,000 resolutions in the United Nations General Assembly. More than 100 in the Security Council. Did Israel respect any of these resolutions? Israel is the world champion of violation of international law and United Nations resolution. The history did not start on 7th of October. Our people is being massacred since now decades. So what's happening nowadays is just the direct consequences of the continuing Israeli occupation of Palestinian territory.
Nevertheless, even if it's a consequence, I'm interested to know whether you approve of such attacks which involve civilians, targeting civilians.
Our position is very clear. Civilians should be spared. We do not accept any attack against any civilians. Have you ever spoke to the Israeli officials and asked them to condemn the action of their military going since decades?
I will do that. I will do that. In this program, I'm interviewing Israeli ambassador. I will do that, and I will challenge them. But in the meantime, can you tell me what is going on right now? You have the most recent information because you, as a Palestinian Authority, PLO, you still monitor, you still implement ministry, you still are part of Ministry of Health. What are the consequences of the war right now as we speak? What is your latest information?
I mean, what's happening now, it's not a war, it's a genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza. War crimes are being committed on a daily basis, every minute, in front of everyone. I mean, you don't need me to tell you what's happening in Gaza. Everything is on camera. More than 9,000 people were killed until now. 70% of them are children and women. 70%. More than 3,700 children. 3,700 children. And these are not only numbers, they are lives, they are stories, they had wishes for the future, they had plans, expectation. What do you know about Gaza? 365 square kilometers with 2.3 million Palestinians living under blockade, total siege since now 16 years. 16 years, none of these generations have seen anything but Israeli bombings and attacks. Gaza's population, 2.3 million people and more, 75% of them are refugees. They are the ones who were forced to leave their towns when Israel was invented in Palestine. From Haifa to Ashdod to Sderot. The cities you are hearing now mentioning as Israelis, those people in Gaza, 75% of them are coming from those cities. They were kicked out from their homes. And now again, they are killing them, they are forcibly displacing them and committing the worst massacres against them.
Israel keeps saying we are searching for Hamas underneath hospitals, with tunnels underneath hospitals. What do you say to that?
Israel will always keep looking for a pretext to continue the ethnically cleansing crimes against the Palestinian people. Hamas was created in 1988. So what's before Hamas? What about all these massacres during the decades before Hamas? There is no Hamas ruling West Bank. What about killing people, stealing Palestinian land, colonization, illegal settlements in West Bank, happening now? Just this morning, last night and this morning, we have 6 people killed in West Bank, including a child of 13 years old. Hamas is being used as a pretext by the Israeli occupying power. This is a fact. Before Hamas, the PLO was the terrorists. And then they had to have a deal with the PLO, which they did not respect. And that's why we are here now.
The difference between Hamas and PLO is clearly big, because PLO recognizes Israel as a state. Hamas doesn't. Can you tell me...
One thing you should be careful about.
Okay.
Hamas, and here I don't want to be seen to speak on behalf of her. I'm representative of the Palestinian people of the state of Palestine and the PLO. But Hamas agreed with regard to accepting the peace based on 2-state solution. And this is not new. So
it's good you repeat that. It's good you repeat that.
Leave away the Israeli propaganda. This is not true. They are just using Hamas as a pretext. This is a genocidal state. We have been warning about this since years now. The problem is that the Western countries never ever put any pressure on Israel to respect international law or to respect the bilateral agreement. We had the Oslo Agreement that stated that in 1999 the Israeli army should withdraw from Palestinian occupied territory in 1967. What happened? Ariel Sharon at that moment didn't want. He got into Al-Aqsa Mosque and provoked a new intifada where we lost thousands of lives. They were not. Why they are not forcing them to respect the bilateral law, the international law, bilateral agreements which we signed in the White House in Washington? This impunity of Israel is the real cause of all the dramatic situation we are living here. They feel immune. They feel they can do whatever. And they prove they are doing it. They are killing thousands of people, thousands of children, without any consequences. The biggest consequences is what some countries are condemning. And then they are continuing.
You yourself are from Jenin, West Bank. Can you tell me what it's like for our audience that has only had attention on this region now when dramatic situation is happening? Many people do not know what it's like to live as a Palestinian, even outside Gaza. What is life for a normal, average Palestinian in the West Bank? What do you go through?
I will tell you. When you are living in a country, normal country, you woke up in the morning, you decide to go to your work or to your university to study or whatsoever. You take your coffee, take your car, and drive to your destination. In Palestine, we wake up just first of all to check where the Israeli army is in the streets, how can we avoid them, or if we can reach our destination, if kids can reach the school, if the students can reach universities, if we can reach our work. If not, how many times we will spend on the Israeli military checkpoints. Like, we are not measuring distance between cities in Palestine in kilometers. We are measuring it in how many Israeli checkpoints are there. What is happening in West Bank, it's an apartheid regime. They are, last week, this fascist minister of internal security of the Israeli government distributed weapons to the Israeli settlers in West Bank. Do you imagine what does mean? Those settlers by themselves, their presence is a war crime. He is distributing.
I know, but Israeli settlers on 7th of October were attacked. Some that were not settlers were attacked and kidnapped.
No, I'm talking about West Bank.
I know, but it's
West
doing
Bank,
so because of the response the 7th of October.
The settlements by themselves are a war crime by international law. They shouldn't be there. They are arming them in order to continue, because what we are suffering in the West Bank, is attacks, one from the Israeli occupation army, which is every year, every day, every night, raiding Palestinian cities and towns, arresting people, killing people, now demolishing infrastructures for nothing. They went into Jenin just because there are resistance in Jenin, group of young Palestinians who are refusing to be humiliated daily. So confronting Israeli army who is making incursions in Jenin. So they're going there to kill them and to arrest them. And on the way, they're destroying infrastructures, roads, electricities, everything.
I know that as a representative of Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, you are not representative of Hamas, but nevertheless...
yes, Hamas is not part of the Palestinian...
And PLO has been not running Gaza, but Hamas has been running Gaza for many years now. Nevertheless, I want to ask you, because there are 200 kidnapped Israelis from Hamas, do you have any information? What is their situation? How they are being kept? And as PLO, what do you think should happen to these kidnappees, Israeli kidnappees?
I mean, this question is a little bit strange. Do you see what's happening in Gaza?
I see.
I am not even able to call my relatives in Gaza. I cannot communicate with them. I don't know where are they. I have friends there. I have relatives. I don't know where they are. They cut electricity. They cut communication. They cut internet. The mass bombings. We have more than 2,400 people under rubble. It's a disaster happening in front of everyone.
Okay, as PLO, what are you doing to help them? Is there anything you can do to help them?
We are calling for an immediate ceasefire. This is what should be first implemented.
Second,
to open the border for humanitarian assistance immediately. I mean, this is not only us we're doing. We are calling for this. All international organizations present there. UNICEF is describing Gaza as the graveyard of kids. UNICEF. World Health Organization is describing the health situation as catastrophic because there is only 2 hospitals still working and they can stop in hours. They don't have fuel to work. When you have occupation, when you have oppression, the normal thing is to resist it. And you...
Part of resistance, but it's also, its methods are terrorist methods of resisting.
I mean, this issue of terrorism, definition of terrorism, there is no common definition about terrorism. In Palestine, we don't have terroristic organizations. We have organizations, we have movements fighting the Israeli occupation, and this is our right by international law. By the way, Israel as an occupying power doesn't have the right to self-defense against the people she's oppressed. She's oppressed.
But if you attack the civilians of Israel, if you
kidnap... I mean, the position
but those methods,
are clear.
Why are you better than Israel if you've decided to go after Israeli civilians in their homes and their children? Why are you better than Israelis?
Our stand is very clear. I mean, you cannot draw a parallel and similarity here. You cannot draw this. I mean, this is not fair.
But U.S. has declared Hamas as terrorists. It's not just Israeli.
U.S. is declared. We, PLO, are still listed as terrorists in the United States. Do you know this? Our President Yasser Arafat and Mahmoud Abbas were the most who visited the White House. But if you go legally, we are still listed there. So, come on, this hypocrisy should stop. Most important and key question. Will the international community push Israel to respect international law to achieve peace based on 2-state solution? This is the key question. No justice, no peace. This is an equation we did not invent. We are not less brave than any people on this earth who are fighting for their freedom. We are normal, we are like others. And we do not accept to be treated as less humans than others.
And you just spoke a little bit about the history of Palestinian-Israeli conflict before Hamas. What are the lessons learned? Can you remind the people who don't know this history? What are lessons learned from last time you were in war with Palestinians in Lebanon, Lebanese border? What are lessons learned from that conflict? Did that resolve into anything when Israeli went after Palestinians then?
I mean, the lessons should be drawn by the aggressor. They should now know, after all these years, that we will never give up on our rights. Rights of freedom, right of independence, right of self-determination. They can keep on their killings, but we will never give up on this. Disregard the names. I mean, this is a people who is steadfast, struggling for the basic rights, freedom. There is no other option.
I'm interested to know if Palestinians are resilient enough to return to these rubbles. We have seen neighborhoods of Gaza completely flattened, completely destroyed. Is there a will from Palestinians to return if there's no bombing anymore?
Listen, Palestinians, they learned from their history from 1948. They will never leave their homes.
Even if they have to die?
We are not ready to become again refugees for the second and third time in our history.
And Ambassador, because I'm from Kosovo, everybody in Kosovo would like to hear, why have you still not recognized Kosovo as a state, especially being the fact that I'm Muslim, 90% of Kosovo is Muslim. Most people watching us would feel, didn't you sympathize with our cause for independence, self-determination, similar fight that you are having? Why didn't you recognize Kosovo?
What about reverting the question? Why Kosovo did not recognize Palestine?
Did you ask Kosovo to recognize Palestine?
We asked everyone.
Because you are a country much before we have. You could have started. You exist as a country as much before Kosovo. Kosovo is not that old. It's very young.
I will tell you the answer to your questions. We as Palestinian people are fighting for our freedom, seeking our rights back to have an independent state of Palestine with East Jerusalem as its capital, based on United Nations resolutions. This was the hugest compromise we did in 1988 when we accepted the two-state solution, giving up more than 70% of our historical territory and accepting having a state on only 27% of historical Palestine. That was a huge compromise. And at that moment, the PLO leadership decided to embrace the United Nations resolution, and the international community, Western part of the world, proposal for peace. We accepted this, as I said, based on United Nations resolutions, and what we were doing for decades and still doing, calling every and each country on this world to respect United Nations resolutions, both from United Nations General Assembly and Security Council.
How does this link up to Kosovo?
You have the resolution 1244 with regard to the situation in Serbia, Kosovo.
Yeah.
And
in the meantime, do you know there's an international court decision that Kosovo had the right to self-determination? International court decided.
No, self-determination as our right for the people. I mean, we are seeking this for ourselves. We cannot deny it for anyone else. But we cannot go against a United Nations resolution. Why we are asking all the world to respect the United Nations resolution with regard to Palestine? This will be hypocrisy. And to be more frank with you, I was talking about the legal aspect, political aspect.
Yes.
I mean, do you see what your politicians in Kosovo are stating with regard to their relation to Israel and the US?
What are they stating?
I mean, your president, your prime minister condemned the attack on 7th of October and did not see any of the 3,700 Palestinian children assassinated, massacred in Gaza today. Not a single word. What a kind of message is this?
People of Kosovo are sympathetic. I want to tell you, they've been support. You're seeing support of people of Kosovo.
This is why I explained to you the reason why this recognition. But can you ask your leadership why they are not recognizing Palestine?
We will ask. When I have them on the program, I'm very tough to our leadership. I will ask. Trust me, I will ask.
This
but
is
at
again,
the same
I will
time,
tell you. I will tell you. This is why. This is because we are living. Unfortunately, I mean, any normal person would wait from leadership of Kosovo who were fighting for their self-determination to sympathize, to understand something like where we can draw similarity. We are living, unfortunately, in a world where you can find less and less principled politicians. And they're all going after very short-visioned interest. And it's not working. I mean, you are living in the region, and you are seeing when big powers' interest is shifting, countries, people in the region will have to abide. And you are witnessing it now, even in Kosovo, with regard to the latest proposal of agreement with Serbia.
Even countries that have not recognized Kosovo have some sort of relationship, have either a consulate or some contact with Kosovo.
No, there were contacts. There were contacts. I can tell you, yes, but.
Can you speak about those contacts?
But there were contacts, but the decision of Kosovo opening an embassy in Jerusalem is the violation of international law, and this is for us a red line.
Have you warned Kosovo beforehand that this will happen?
Everyone knows this. This is even the EU blamed Kosovo for this step.
Opening this embassy.
Yeah,
that happened with previous government.
And why
this
why
government
the
didn't want to close it?
Why they didn't reverse this illegal act?
It's not as easy.
Why? Because there is no political will. Because they are afraid from the big brother. I mean, when you do this, you are not principled, and then don't come and cry when something's happening.
But the same what you told me about before, I will reverse it and tell you all of this happened lately. Before this, there was the declaration of independence from Kosovo. You didn't recognize Kosovo even before Kosovo opened an embassy in Jerusalem.
No, but this is because of the reason I'm telling you. We cannot have double standard with regard to the respect of United Nations resolutions.
Okay, Ambassador, thank you very much.
Thank you.